sister. Sick? Okay. Thank you, baby. Again, I greet you all. May Allah's salam alaikum. I want to give those of you who have disagreements with us. You know, you cannot claim that you are truthful if you are unwilling to discuss with people who disagree with you their disagreements. You know, that is the very basis of saying a man or a person has a right to face their accusers. You see? But when, you know, it's just like when you look at people who are wronging you, if you're not careful, people will take your own strength and use it against you. I remember the messenger said of Malcolm X, Minister Farrakhan brought it out when he spoke at a gathering, the same one where he said the messenger hit the table. It was in that same lecture where the messenger said of Malcolm, he said his strength is his weakness. You know, when you are a just and upright person, or you try to be just and upright in your dealings, sometime you will make the mistake, not error, but the mistake of judging others by the way you are. And your uprightness and your strength can be turned into a weakness. Because you cannot judge others by your understanding. That's why there had to be a day of judgment. And the book says, the Holy Quran says, by the grace of thy Lord, thou art not insane. Thou art not mad. The Holy Bible says that the Word was made flesh and dwelt among us. And we beheld his glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. In this world, ignorance of the law does not excuse you. But that's because this world is unjust. but in righteousness, as the messenger said, there could be no judgment unless and until truth is told. Many people, I've heard the messenger say many things. I remember once he said, we will not, and I'm kind of paraphrasing now, we will not participate in your wars unless America herself is attacked. Why did he say unless America herself is attacked? If you attack America, I live here. Whether I like it or not, it's an attack on me. If you attack where I live, you attacking me. So I have to fight back. America, I use the internet. And I use the internet in America. So an attack on the internet that's in America affects me. That's why I stood here and told all of you. Many of you think that somehow that, I guess you don't, because I asked anybody who thought I was an Uncle Tom to speak up. But the messenger referred to America as a great country. And he said if he was going to come here and take it away from him and build up a great country like this, I say he should have came here a long time before he did come. The scripture called Babylon great, but it has fallen. The messenger wrote a book, The Fall of America. You don't find out who's your friend until you get incapacitated or get sick or you take a fall. See who try to help you get up. It's just like the strength of the strong belief, even though it is misconceived. But the strong belief of the members of the Ku Klux Klan, the members of the skinheads, the members of the Nazi Party, the strong beliefs that they hold is now being used against them to make them give away their country. And I should say to make them help overthrow their own government. That's what's being done to them right now. But like I said, I ain't got no dog in the hunt against you, at least not no more. because I understand what's going on now. I understand that when God's word say something gonna happen, it's gonna happen. I mean, we was told that this was gonna take place before ever the white man was made. As his maker said, when he looked up at his uncle, he said, "Uncle, when I get to be an old man, I'm going to make a people that will rule you." What do you do when someone is ruling over you? You serve them. Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that's not theirs, and they shall serve them. And they shall afflict them 400 years. You are yet afflicted. And in all your affliction, I've been afflicted. You see? But him that overcometh, will I give him to eat of that hidden manna. So I'm overcoming all of my afflictions. But now, the first one that was afflicted was the one who afflicted us. His maker afflicted him. With a incomplete mind. Do you understand? Why are you climbing that mountain? And his only response is because it's there. Why you won't rest until you reach the top of it? I just want to conquer it. It's still, and it's still going to exist at a time when you ain't going to be able to climb it. When that body that you have is weak, and the face of it is steady changing. So, it ain't even the same mountain after you get through climbing it. It's gonna, over time, you won't be able to go up that way you went. No. But he does things because that's all he knows. Conquer it. And once he get it, what you gonna do with it? Well, I got it. And that's it. No real purpose. But to get back to what's being done, the way most con men and crooks throw ignorant people off is everything that they have in their mind and everything that they are doing to you or to someone else, they just project that onto them. They say that's what you're doing. I heard Devin Nunes refer to the impeachment process as a coup d'etat. He refers to something in the Constitution that if you follow it, you are performing a bloodless revolution to overthrow the government. when actually that's what he is doing, him and those who call themselves Republicans. Listen to me good. Have you found me like, I'm going to tell you like I told my older sister. And she ain't following me now. But I did tell her. I asked her first, have you ever known me to just outright lie? As long as you've been knowing me longer than I know you. You're older than me. She said, no, Marvin. Well, if you have never known me to be a liar, why would you think I would start lying now in my old age? She didn't have no answer for that. Now, I want to ask all of you, white people, you remember I asked you how many of y'all think that I'm your enemy or the enemy to your country? Now, that's not no hard question. It's not no trick question. Any white person that's listening to me, see, that go for Ku Klux Klan, that go for anybody. Do you view me as an enemy to America, to the United States? See, now all of you quiet. Now I know you don't forget now. There's a whole lot of them out there hate me. But even they honest enough to sit quiet because they know it's no way they could accuse me of being an enemy to this country when they ain't got no evidence that I've did anything to harm this country. Have you known me to be a liar? If you say I've lied, I offered $20,000 in my life. If you could show that I lied to you. When have I lied to you? I told you back in 2004 that you need to get rid of them guns because the only ones you're going to be killing with it is yourselves. I told you that. What are you doing? Let me refresh your memory on something here. Now, I want you to, I'm doing this because if it was my country that my fathers had set up and had accomplished what this country has accomplished, I would sure appreciate somebody giving me a heads up if they see somebody trying to destroy it. You know, when people, let me tell you something. When people know that their way is right, they don't have to try, and they don't try to force it on you because they know that they don't need to. They know that if you're reasonable, they can convince you. How many times you heard me talk to the Ku Klux Klan? I invite them to come on in here. Tell me what your problem is with me. What have I done to you that you hate me so much? That's a conversation I'm willing to have anytime with anyone. How many other people on this planet can say that? Even if you think I done did something that ain't got no business, you just your thinking. Everything and everybody on this planet belong to me. If I didn't care about you, Allah wouldn't have gave you to me. If people didn't really think I cared about them, how come ain't nobody coming in here and say you don't care nothing about us? When I come and teach you, when I come and stand up in front of you, do I pass collection plates? What have I tried to sell you? No, I'm not going to let you put no jacket on me. I'm here trying to help you. That's what I was born for. Son of Man came to seek and to save lost souls. So I have to show you this because I'm the watchman. You know they had a song, and I used to, at one of my friends' grandfather, he was a preacher, and I wasn't too much interested in the church. I grew up in church. I didn't want no more church, but this little sister, I liked his sister. So I used to go to church, over there with them, just to be around her. And but when I got there, when they started singing, they had one song that say, "He sits high and he looks low. He helps his children. He sees and he knows. He knows our wants and our needs." And I like that song. I said, that song saying something. I didn't know it was about me. If Allah told me to sit on his right hand, Allah ain't down low, he sits high. But he looks low. Notice, everybody who joined with me, I began helping you, and you start coming up with ideas and things that you never would have thought of if you hadn't been with me. So don't tell me I'm not helping you. So Allah said, "Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel, unto the mind that Jacob put in these people. Therefore, hear the words at my mouth. He that hath an ear, let what? Hear the word at my mouth and give them warning from me." You know why you can do math? You couldn't do math, and it's called mathematics. That's why you are in the beginning of math, they give you the timetable. Huh? By the time you get to the 12s and you really understand it, you realize that you've been given all of them, they just keep repeating themselves. You know, once you know the ones, then you go to the twos. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times, well, when you get to the threes, you ain't gonna have to wonder what, because you done already been through the 1 times, and 1 times 3 is 3, 2 times 3 is 6, 3 times 3 is 9. So now when you get to, if 2 times 4 is 8, then when you get to 4 times 2, you're gonna know that that's 8. Is that right? You're just saying it in a different way, but you're saying the same thing, right? Okay. So we learn everything by what means? And what is that called, though? Memory. Surely the remembrance of Allah is the greatest force. Why remember? Why not just say surely Allah is the greatest force? Force is force when someone is exercising it. We didn't bring the truth here. We discovered it after we got here. And once we discovered it, we committed what we discovered to memory. And surely the remembrance of the truth is the greatest force to meet any problem that comes up. Of course, now, if you don't know the truth, you ain't met the truth about it yet, now you got a problem. What is the root word of problem? Probe. When you probe, what do? You search. Probe the limits. What is that? You probe until you find what you're looking for. You seeking. Seek and you shall what? There it is. There it are. And that's the limit of your probe on that, right? Probe limits. Problem. So, but if you don't remember, then it's like pouring water on a rock. I don't care how much you douse it and douse it and douse it. When the minute you stop dousing it again, give it a few minutes and it's dry all over again. Very little water enters into it. Do you understand? So we have creatures that we compare people to. Be ye stones or iron or some other creature which is hardest to be raised. But I'm going to raise you. Now, if you look at memory, if you remember things, can't nobody fool you. You hear what I said? Liars forget the lie they told. Always remember that. The reason that they forget the lie they told is because it has nothing to stabilize it in their minds, because it's untrue. So there's no root to it. You notice everything you know, you can find the route that you took to get to where you got with it. Do you understand? It has thoughts that led up to that. Huh? But when you make up something, it ain't had no thoughts that led you up to that. You created that on the spur of the moment. And consequently, you forgot about it as soon as you said it. That's why when people stand up lying and you say, well, you just said so-and-so. No, I didn't. I didn't say that. That's how you know you're dealing with a liar. I remember once I used to like to hear Brother Tenor or Reverend Tenor. He said, before I take that back, I add some more to it. And I say, now that's a good slogan. In other words, you're not going to make me take it back. If I said it, then I'm not going to deny I said it. And I'll even go further and tell you why I had the right to say it. Huh? So I want y'all to listen, especially white people. It's this your country. And you got some low down folks that look like you that's actually trying to destroy your house. And they done got in positions, as old Sarah Palin told you. She was bragging about it. She said, Obama playing checkers, meaning Obama playing the check and balance system that America has set up. All presidents have to be part of the check and balance system. But that's what kind of government this is. It's a government where no branch of the government has supreme power. They can put each other in check. It's just like the Congress can make a bill, but before it can be signed, it has to be signed into law by the president. He has the power to put them in check. Say, no. I ain't going to let you get away with this. No, we ain't gonna pass that. I'm going to veto that. Huh? So they come to a compromise. Sometime the Congress will say, well, what about a line item veto? And the president can go through there and cross out certain things. I assume that's what line item means. And then he signed it. You know, he'll let some of it through, but some of it he's no, we ain't gonna do that. Huh? But on the other hand, when a president starts acting like, doing things that, for instance, the way that the Constitution talks about impeachment, it lists things that he can be impeached for. He don't have to be guilty of all of them. If he's guilty of one of them. That's what I don't understand. These people standing up here talking about don't put too many charges in there because it confuses them. Oh, you may not put too many charges in there. If he's guilty of it, put it in there. Anyway, but, that's like a lot of people say, well, you sure want Donald Trump to be impeached. Man, I don't care what y'all do with Donald Trump. You better not kill him. He don't deserve being shot. He don't deserve none of the stuff that some of you all who don't like him might like to do to him. He don't deserve that. Because Donald Trump, even though he's a big liar, He didn't pretend he wasn't. He went in there and lied, which means he was being truthful. I say this much for him. At least he was being himself. And he's still being himself. He's still being Donald Trump. He said he got more sense than all the generals. And he meant it because he ain't listening to none of them. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, he said he wasn't no puppet for Putin. Now, that yet got to be, I can't, I can't say that the verdict ain't in on that. I mean, you doing everything the man won't done. But anyway, he was talking about Putin. I like Putin. He told you that before he got in there. And you know what happened when Donald Trump liked somebody. He said he fell in love with Kim Jong-un. He said, we fell in love. I said, boy, is this real? This is really something here. Well, one thing I say about Mr. Trump, he didn't trick you about who he was. You tricked yourself. Talking about, well, he just doing that to be, okay, he just doing that. And he's still doing that. Which made a lie out of what you was talking about. Talking about he's going to be presidential. You still waiting on that, ain't you? So I want to show you something here that, I was reading up on some things, and I thought I needed to share it with you. How Congress oversees executive branch functions in Washington, D.C. How Washington actually works for dummies. In other words, if you don't know how Washington works, well, it didn't have to be insulting like that. But there's a book they got out there. It says by Greg Rushford. It says a major constitutional check on the executive branch in Washington, D.C. is congressional oversight. That's part of their duties. Their duties is not to be yes men for the president. Their duties is to act as a separate branch of a separate co-equal branch of the government of America that actually represents the majority of the people in America and the American people in general, because every state has representatives in the House of Representatives, and every state has senators in the Senate. And that is the way that the way that the government is designed, that the people's representatives can hold the president accountable for his actions, and that he cannot be a king. Do you understand? He's not a king. And that's why the Congress has the power. The House of Representatives has the power to put forth impeachment resolutions for an unfit president. And the Senate can even put in check who the president appoints to serve as officers in the government of the United States. And then you have the judiciary, which is the Supreme Court. Whenever there's conflict between the co-equal branches, the Supreme Court has jurisdiction to settle disputes lawfully. Do you understand? And that was designed that way because America came into existence by breaking away from a tyrannical king. And they didn't want to be under a king anymore. And so they had to come up with a new form of government. Do you understand? Okay. Now, it says the Senate plays a particularly important role in checking the power of the executive branch because it has the power to confirm cabinet officials, judges, and other high officials. A form of leverage that senators often exploit until they get what they want from the president. You see, the president has power to withhold things from them. You understand? And it says, in addition, you know, when it's just like if you want to, you notice you never see a bully go up against another bully. He ain't looking for no bully to go up against. He looking for somebody that's scared of him. It's like a lion. When he go hunting for food, he don't go looking for no Bengal tiger. Huh? Going over there crouching behind some waiting to jump on a tiger and eat up his cubs and stuff. He know that. That by the time he get that meal, he won't even want to eat. You understand? That's too hard a meal to get. Because you might wind up in the meal, right? So, likewise, you know, when you got two powers and both of them have power to withhold something from the other, then that's equality. Then that demands respect. It commands respect. Listen now. It says, in addition, the Senate has the power to approve, to advise and consent, quote unquote, advise and consent, as the Constitution puts it, all treaties that are negotiated by the executive branch. President Richard Nixon once remarked that in his dealings with the Senate, he got a lot more advice than consent. Well, that's the only way it could still remain a government of the people. The people's representatives representing the people made sure that what the president was doing is what the people wanted. You understand? That's when it was working right. It says, Congress has many additional powers within its grasp, including some that are crucial to national defense, as laid out by Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution. Its powers include, listen good now, borrowing money from other nations, declaring war on other nations, determining and establishing the structure of the military and doling out money for national defense, establishing federal laws that don't interfere with the rights of individual states to govern their own populations internally. This last power is often a sticking point between the competing political parties who make up the overwhelming majority of the Congress's members and often espouses different views about how much the federal government should poke its nose into issues that states usually handle themselves. But pay close attention. Political arguments masquerading as defenses of states' rights, are not always telling the whole story. Remember slavery? Politicians from all sides have used this argument when convenient and quietly dropped it when not. So, when you look at Congress's duty, nowhere in there is it Congress's duty to protect the president. That's not a duty of Congress. In the first place, protect him from what and from who? He the one that commands the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. He's the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of America. He's supposed to be protecting the country. So, what a congressman look like claiming that he's the protector of the president? Unless you remember something that Grover Norquist said. So that's where your memory got to be kind of good. If you ain't got no good memory, well, I feel sorry for you. You know what happened to people that lose their memory? They're lost. When you see somebody, when you see them doing that, you better not walk in New York doing that. You better not walk through the projects doing that. Somebody walk up, you, hey, nigga, what you doing over here? Well, I'm looking for, give me your money. That's what yeah. I mean, you can't, you got to know where you're going in a concrete jungle. You got to know what you're doing. Okay. Now, because you don't remember things, see how quick you forgot Grover? I didn't forget him.
Joint Congressional Committee on Deficit Reduction has just 3 days to reach a deal eliminating at least $1.2 trillion from the nation's debt, using some combination of cutting spending and raising taxes. The person at the heart of those negotiations, and some would say the person responsible for the deadlock, is neither a member of Congress nor the holder of any public office. He's a lobbyist and a conservative activist named Grover Norquist, who over the years has gotten virtually every Republican congressman and senator to sign an oath called the Pledge. It's a promise that they will never, under any circumstances, vote to raise taxes on anyone. And so far, Grover Norquist has held them to it, controlling 279 votes, the Speaker of the House, the Senate Minority Leader, and all 6 Republican members of the Joint Committee on Deficit.
Now, here's a lobbyist getting pledges from congressmen, from your representatives. You don't see nothing wrong with that. They already took a pledge. They took an oath to uphold the Constitution and defend it from all enemies, foreign and domestic. And a man that's a lobbyist walking around talking about and leveraging his power and authority to get people elected and unelected and all that kind of thing, and you letting him get away with walking around in your country doing that? A lobbyist ain't got no business being able to get up there. If you want to get your congressman to do something, that should not be done in no private setting. It should be asked for publicly. so that everybody who supported that man can know what he's doing. No wonder you got so many millionaires in Congress. Anyway, let's see.
Reduction. A lot of people think you're the most powerful man in Washington. The tax issue is the most powerful issue in American politics going back to the Tea Party. People say, oh, Grover Norquist has power. No, Grover Norquist and Americans for Tax Reform.
Just like he said, going all the way back to the Tea Party. If you know the history of the Tea Party, it wasn't taxes that the people objected to. It was being taxed and having no say-so in where that money goes and in the government. You're going to take money from us, but you're not going to recognize us as having adulthood enough to question where the money is going. At least that's what you taught me. You said taxation without representation is tyranny. The people in America, this is something that no one ever brings up. But eventually, it's going to come up. And that is, on a daily basis, how much revenue taxes does all of the states put into the coffers of the government? Daily. No accounting. Nobody telling nobody nothing. That needs to be brought up. But I ain't even talk about it right now. Let's talk about this. Because for the most part, we see where lots of the tax money going. It goes to the public schools. It goes to the police. It goes to all of these conveniences that you have. Tax money pays for it. And as long as you giving me something for my money, and I can see what you're giving me, I ain't gonna clown with you about taxes. Do you understand? The only thing I would clown with you about is that everybody should be taxed equally. You know, those who you're going to tax. And those who don't make enough for you to be taken from them, then just tax them at the store, like you do everybody anyway. Let them keep their little check. But that's too much like right for you, so I know you ain't gonna do that. But anyway.
Focus on the tax issue. The tax issue is a powerful issue. Grover Norquist is trying to be modest. Since creating Americans for Tax Reform at Ronald Reagan's behest back in 1985, Norquist has been responsible more than anyone else for rewriting the dogma of the Republican Party. The Republicans won't raise your taxes. We haven't had a Republican vote for an income tax increase since 1990.
Listen at what he said. If you say Republicans will not raise your taxes, then what you are saying is that Republicans will not do what's necessary for America to make progress and to stay on the cutting edge of all technology and education and everything else. Technology is steady changing. And it's getting more expensive to compete. Well, how does the government stay functional and competitive? It is not taxes that's evil. It's unnecessary taxes that's evil. Do you understand? And by not raising necessary taxes, that's criminal. When part of your job description is taxation and the right of Congress to raise revenue for the needs of the country. How do you sit up and say that you're not going to raise taxes when America is steady growing, the population is getting bigger, and more demands is being made on? Look at all of the cars that's up and down the highway now, and big trucks and everything. Them trucks go down that highway on a real hot day, that stuff starts melting. Next thing you know, dents is in the highway, and it becomes a hazard. Those highways have to be in repair. Where are you going to get the money to repair them? Taxes. And when you take his attitude, you know what he's appealing to? He's appealing to the same thing that most poor people appeal to. He's appealing to the poor mind. And that's why they're poor. Because most poor people think that the less something costs, the better it is for them. That's why they're always at the hospital, going putting garbage in their stomach, the cheapest of everything. And then they wind up having to keep on replacing something that was garbage in the first place, as far as furniture and, cars and everything else. Then if they had went on and bought something that had some real value and take care of it, it would have saved them money. But as he's taxes, that's the real problem. That's the real problem. That's the thing he tell you, that taxes is the problem. But what he's actually doing is drying up your government and undermining. See, the less you pay your teachers, the less really qualified teachers are going to want to be in that field, because it don't pay enough. And nobody really see what's going on. But now you got the average person, since the internet, the average person on Twitter can't hold intelligent conversation with you verbally. That's why you come in here and I invite you to talk with me, and you just sitting there just pecking, because you really don't have any verbal skills. And you sit down at a machine that whatever you type in it, it don't argue with you. So you don't have no ability to actually reason. Are you aware that your reasoning skills increase by verbally communicating and expressing disagreements with people and hearing other views from people verbally? How do you think I got to the point where I can stand up and talk to the whole world and don't have to fear what you're going to say to me? I didn't come from sitting down at no computer pecking. That came from arguing with people. But I don't argue for the sake of argument. Like some of y'all, you think that anything that somebody say that you can figure out something to say to disagree with them, you just say it. I don't do that. That's unintelligent. Truthful people bear witness to the truth when they hear it. Not play the devil's advocate. But anyway, listen to Grover.
This was your doing. I helped. Yeah. It began with a simple idea of getting Republicans all over the country to sign an oath called the Taxpayer Protection Pledge, promising their constituents that they would never, ever vote for anything that would make their taxes go up.
Speaker Gingrich's tax pledge back in 1998.
And once they sign the pledge, Grover Norquist never forgets. The more signatures he's collected, the more his influence has grown.
I think to win a Republican primary, it is difficult to imagine somebody winning a primary without taking the pledge.
The signatories not only...
Now, he's telling you right there that he's controlling every Republican up there that signed his pledge. They owe Grover Norquist. They don't owe you. And if they owe Grover, they owe whoever is backing him up. Do you understand? Now, it's going to come together for you in a minute. Just listen.
Include more than 270 members of Congress, but all of the Republican presidential candidates with the lone exception of John Huntsman.
Okay, folks, we want to get going.
All that leverage has made Norquist's Wednesday breakfast meetings a must-attend event for Republican operatives fortunate enough to get an...
Did you hear him tell you that John Huntsman, he didn't sign that pledge? I remember when he was, let me see, who was John Huntsman? He was in the Republican field. And when I was listening to him, he could speak, I think, Mandarin, the Chinese language, one of their languages. And I was looking at how dignified he conducted himself and how, just how dignified he was. And I said, I could vote for him. You know, I mean, but he didn't get but about 2% of the votes. Thanks to the fact that you have been made so dumb that you don't pay attention to substance. You just pay attention to fanfare. Where the crowd at? Who the crowd supporting? Who everybody with? That ain't no good way to choose leadership. I mean, if you say you want your vote to count, why do you always throw it just wherever the crowd go, instead of really looking at the people who running and think about which of them seems more. When I look at a man that's trying to run for president, I want to see somebody who seems fatherly. That's the first thing I'm looking for. Because if he wants to be over all of these families in America, he should understand and should have an empathetic, the ability to empathize with fathers and mothers, which means he's going to care about the job situation, he's going to care about the home situation, and he's going to be careful about starting wars. Because it's the children that you wind up saying. I had my 19th birthday in Vietnam. And back then, if I recall, I couldn't even vote. They might have had just passed the voting thing, but I hadn't voted when I was in the service. Most servicemen don't vote. You know. Now I think they let them vote and whatnot. But back then, we didn't vote. But anyway, I think it was the reasoning behind it is since you're going to have to be under whoever becomes president, they didn't want you to have the idea that, well, I didn't vote for that so-and-so, and I didn't think about him. So you just stay out of elections and just serve your time in the military and make that sacrifice and just serve your time. And whoever's president, that's who's your commander-in-chief. Do you understand? And so that was, I could see the wisdom in that. Anyway.
David Keene, the president of the National Rifle Association, was there the day we attended, along with conservative columnist John Fund.
This is the Grand Central Station of the conservative movement.
We were told it was the first timers have ever been allowed into the weekly off-the-record strategy session.
Our approach is going to be to just simply drill away every day.
People from Capitol Hill, House and Senate, think tanks, Tea Party groups.
Well, now you understand why the Democrats and the Republicans no longer get along with each other. It's because they're over there acting like they from another country now. Instead of meeting with each other and talking as brothers on what's best for their country, they meet and talk about what's best for their party. Now, this is what Grover and all of them fellas, money is at the root of it. And the love of money. Listen now.
Business groups, everybody who wants the government to be smaller and everybody who wants the government to leave them alone. I intend to win. I intend to be part of the whole effort to crush the other team.
Grover Norquist is
the whole effort to crush the other team. Who's the other team? And if your effort is to crush the other team and the other team is your fellow countrymen, well, now you are a House of Representatives that is divided against itself. White people, I hope you listening. I know what division against your own people will do to you. That's what's wrong with my people that look like me. Can't stand to see each other with nothing. Listen, now, you got something to lose here.
both the dark wizard of the right's anti-tax cult and the single most effective conservative activist in the country. He is a libertarian ideologue who believes that Washington is controlling our lives through the taxes it raises to fund big government. And he said that he wants to shrink it to the size where it could be drowned in a bathtub.
You want to drown it in the bathtub?
No, we want it down to the size to where it would fit in the bathtub. And then it could worry about what we're up to.
I mean, you did say that your ultimate...
He wants the government to worry about who is the we. Since the government of America is purely elected, and it is elected by the people of America, at least it used to be, before Russia got involved. Well, you wondering right now what Donald Trump was up to with Putin in that 2-hour meeting he had with him, because there wasn't nobody in there but him and Putin. They have shrinked it down to the size that it could fit in a bathtub. And now you have to wonder what they're up to. It's just like when You don't know the real game they are playing about Ukraine and the saying that it wasn't Russia that interfered, it was the Ukrainians. Now, if any of you buy that, have you thought about who that contradicts? Who does that contradict? The whole intelligence community of America. So what does it do to your trust in the intelligence community of America? Can't trust them. And you know what happens when you got a house that don't nobody trust nobody in the house. Ain't nobody got to come from the outside to destroy you. You do destroying yourself. Now you just heard him say he want to reduce the government down to the size it can fit in a bathtub. So he sure don't want the 3 branches to stay 3. You got to combine them. What's that man they just put on the Supreme Court? Kavanaugh. You know that man ain't got no business on the Supreme Court. He even said, what goes around comes around. You remember he told them that? And they still put him up there. Why did they put him up there? Because when those who call themselves Republicans, that are actually not Republicans, they're Tea Party. You know, you remember the Tea Party? Dressed up like Indians? But they wasn't Indians. They dress up like Republicans, but they're not Republicans. Listen, if I'm wrong in what I'm saying, yeah, maybe this just is a conspiracy theory. But you better treat me like Captain Kirk treated Spock when Spock told him I'll make a guess. And Captain Kirk said, you? What? Make a guess? And he walked off smiling. And the Dr. McCoy was standing there. And Spock told him and said, I don't think the captain understood. He said, oh, yes, Spock, he understood. But he has more confidence in your guesses than you do other people's facts. I'm pretty good at adding up evidence. You better trust me if you want to hold on to the United States of America. They've already projected what they're doing to you when they accused the House of Representatives, and they say the Democrats are impeaching Donald Trump. I ain't read nowhere in the Constitution where it says the Democrats or the Republicans can impeach a president. The House of Representatives do that. And it is agreed that there is a minority leader and a majority leader in the House. And the majority rule. Huh? That is the government that you said you believe in and that you have set up here. But now all of a sudden, now when the Republicans were the majority in that, they did things, they were the majority. And you heard many Democrats complaining about what was going on. But they didn't start making statements as though them people's not part of Congress. But anyway, let's get this statement again. Listen now.
Ideologue who believes that Washington is controlling our lives through the taxes it raises to fund big government. And he said that he wants to shrink it to the size where it could be drowned in a bathtub.
You want to drown it in the bathtub?
No, we want it down to the size to where it would fit in the bathtub. And then it could worry about what we were up to.
I mean, you did say that your ultimate...
That's what it all amounts to. A bloodless coup. That's what a coup d'etat is. A overthrow of a government without bloodshed. You understand? Okay. Now, remember that. Now, listen to this.
The Trump ally is speaking out about the Russia investigation, but these remarks not intended to be made public. It's a secret recording of one of Donald Trump's biggest allies on Capitol Hill, Congressman Devin Nunes, at a closed-door fundraiser. And in the recording, first obtained by MSNBC, Nunes makes the case that it is their responsibility, Republicans, the Republicans in the House of Representatives, to act as the last line of defense to protect the President of the United States. Listen.
So therein lies, so it's like your classic catch-22 situation where we're at this what puts us in such a tough spot. If Sessions won't refuse and Mueller won't clear the president, we're the only one, which is really the danger. That's why thank you for saying it, by the way.
Now I'm going to read it as they, because if you go online and find it, it says, this is the title of it. I'm not going to give people always sending me something on a text. When you want somebody to find something online, why don't you just send them the name of the article? You lazy. You just want to cut and paste. Well, what you need to do is you see what they said? Nunes, we have to keep the majority to protect Trump. Go on YouTube and find that. And it says, Representative Nunes, a Republican from California. So therein lies, so it's like your classic catch-22 situation where we were at, this puts us in such a tough spot. If Sessions won't unrecuse. Now, why does he want Sessions to unrecuse? That's against the law. I thought they believed in the Constitution and law. Sessions was obeying the law, that he was involved in something with Russia, so he recused himself from the investigation. That's the law. Trump wanted him to unrecuse. Remember that? Said if Sessions won't unrecuse and Mueller won't clear the president, they wanted Mueller to clear the president. Well, in other words, just lie for him. If Mueller won't clear the president, we're the only ones, which is really the danger. That's why I keep, and thank you for saying it, by the way. I mean,
we have to keep all these seats.
We have to keep all these seats. We have to keep
the majority.
We have to keep the majority. Remember, I told you about using your strengths against you? The crooks done, as they say, Putin playing what? When you play chess, you put your men in positions, right? Yeah. They've been funneling money through the National Russian Association, calling it National Rifle Association. The NRA, National Russian Association. How did NRA go bankrupt? How did it all of a sudden go bankrupt when that investigation showed that the NRA was money from Russian oligarchs and stuff was being funneled through there? Huh? Even had Russians joining it. Okay, listen, we have to keep the majority. If we do not keep the majority, all of this goes away. All of this goes away. Well, what are you doing that is the only way it can stay there is you got to be there? Come on now. If what he's doing is right, why does he fear it's going to go away the minute he ain't there no more? You better wake up. See, y'all's problem is you can't stay woke long enough to learn that. You better stop. You better wake up. All right. Don't say I didn't warn you.
CNN's Monty Rogers in Washington with much more on this. Monty, as I listen to this, on one hand, not surprising to hear Devin Nunes make the case that he doesn't want the president to be impeached. But on the other hand, he seems to be saying it's Congress's job to protect the president rather than serve as a check on the executive branch, which is the...
What did Grover Norquist say he wanted to do? Reduce it down to the size that it can fit in the bathtub. And then it can wonder what we are doing, what we are up to. Huh? What did he say he needed in the White House? Somebody, we need to elect a Republican with good dexterity. We don't need no fearless leader. Just need somebody to sign what we put in front of him. Is that what he said? He said for the next 20 years, the leadership will come out of the House and the Senate. Huh? Yeah. They put their people in place. That's why it don't make no difference what evidence that you showed him about Donald Trump. They already know that he don't belong in there. Because they don't belong in Congress. You still haven't answered my question. How did you get voting machines? You didn't vote on them. That wasn't on no ballot. I remember I was looking at The Shadow, and that's an old movie. Just one. Now I want y'all to pay attention. Give me a minute. I'm gonna let you see something. Because you know, when people are doing something right in front of you, It's like they talk to each other right in front of you, and you don't hear or see them. I'm gonna show you something here. Now they're doing all of this stuff right in your face. Just give me a minute. See if I can find the spot. So, it's a dramatization, but it shows that, with knowledge, you can make people think and see wrong and everything just by knowing how to plant suggestions in the head. I want everybody to wake up. I remember this woman told me, you can send somebody to hell. He said, you going to hell with your eyes wide open. Well, that's the way to go if you're going to go. And so I'm going to open up your eyes, and then if you want to stay in hell, then that's going to be you. But you ain't going to be able to say you didn't know it, because I'm sharing it with you. Just give me a minute. Almost at the end of it, because it's real important. Now watch this.
I can't believe he did it.
Did what? Lamont?
My God. It's beautiful.
What is?
Hey, fella. That building right there. What's the name of that building? Lunatic. Shiwan Khan has hypnotized the entire city.
Can't see what's right in front of you. Here, your government done been reduced down. Devin Nunes standing up there talking about, we got to protect the president. That's not the job of congressmen. And if anybody in there had any sense, if they ain't all in on it, they'd be not protect him from what? Don't president need no protection from impeachment, but to not break the law. Just like when they play with your mind, telling you it went from quid pro quo to bribery. Quid pro quo is bribery, but it's a secret deal. That's why it's called quid, quieted, pro, promise, quote, for a quota or a demand. And it was made in secret. But the whistleblower sounded the alarm. So they had to get on the phone, and 2 days after it came out, the money was released. Why? Because they got on the phone and said, you go ahead, you can let it go. So they could get out there and claim, well, there was no quid pro quo. He got the money, didn't he? Did we get anything? Remember now, Donald Trump is just a figurehead. Well, you go on and scheme against me. You go right ahead, mister. And speed up your doom. Yeah. Anyway, I think I'm gonna stand here and watch what and see what you up to. Yeah, I'm gonna tell it. And show it too. Am I lying on them? Or is it falling into place for you now? Just a moment. You know, when people lie, they don't remember what lie they told. I tell you what. I tell you, for instance, how many times, Brother Michael, have I been talking and I say something and you said, no, son of man, that's such and so and such and such. I could be fussing. And you correct me on something that I said. You do it too, Jabril. That's just nature. Because you know I want to be truthful. So if I make a mistake in something I say, you will correct it. Right then. Right? Watch this. I want to make sure that we let you see these things. Here it is. Now, you just heard Devin Nunes say he got to protect the president, right? So what is he doing sitting up there at an impeachment hearing? What is he involved in that for? He ain't paying no attention to no evidence up there. So is he doing the job that the Congress is supposed to do? Or has he decided that impeachment, like he said, is a coup d'etat? Listen now.
Thanks, gentlemen. I'd like to address a few brief words to the American people watching. Did his position affect any U.S. government actions under the Obama administration? We have now heard testimony from the Democrats' own witnesses that diplomats were concerned about a conflict of interest involving Hunter Biden. That's because he had secured a well-paid position.
No, that's not what those people said. The what's the lady's, Miss Hill, Fiona Hill. She didn't say that there was a problem. She said that the ambassadors were mindful that there could be an appearance of a problem. Do you understand? And that's always the case. But I want you know, I'm going to let you hear things that I know they knew. But they trying to perpetuate a lie. Now, tell me something. Why isn't Joe Biden rich? A whole lot of them other people that's in Congress that's been in there for all them years, they rich. How come Joe Biden ain't rich? Yeah, I'll grant you that Joe Biden, he sometimes stand up and he lets stuff out that he have to correct. But most people who ain't into just running game, they don't stand up and do a lot of talking. And when you're not always just out talking, you bound to say some things that need correcting because you're not used to standing up and doing it like that. But ain't nobody, Republican or Democrat, ever accused Joe Biden of being unpatriotic or being in it for the money or none of that. All of them. They couldn't say nothing about that man but that he was a straight shooter. I mean, you can tell when the man, look, man, if you sincere, you recognize another sincere person when you see him. You know, Joe Biden don't get up and put on no act. If he stand up fussing, that's how he feel. It ain't a show. If you smart, you'll put him in there. I mean, right now, look, all the black people that's running, I'm not saying that Cory Booker is not qualified to be president. I'm not saying that, what's her name, that sister that's running? Kamala Harris. I'm not saying she's not qualified to be president. I'm not saying that Bernie Sanders is not qualified to be president. But the circumstances that exist now, you need to send Joe Biden in there. All of the countries that this man done boo-booed in their face and all that on, Joe Biden can fix that. Why do you think Russia don't want him and Donald Trump speak for them? Because they know Joe Biden could fix it. And would fix it. And he's the only one that could fix it. Because he knows exactly what went wrong. Because he knows what their relationship was behind closed doors before this man got in there. And it was that America's allies in America were like that when Obama left office. If you have a difference of opinion, I'll hear it. You see, the reason that Donald Trump was able to appeal to black people was because, and it was due to our ignorance. I mean, you want to act like President Obama didn't do nothing for black people. Well, that's what Donald Trump told you. I mean, what you got to lose? What the hell you got to lose? That's what he said. Yeah. And you liked the way he put that, didn't you? You haven't thought about the fact that while you damning the Democratic Party and all that kind of thing, not that I'm a Democrat, I'm a man that will vote for who I think will do the job. And you better learn to do that too. And you better learn to get informed before you just throw your support behind somebody. But the Donald Trump, he made you think that Barack Obama hadn't did nothing for black people. When Barack Obama's very ascension into that office did more for us than all of the presidents that went before him. Just by him being in that office. And he sure wasn't no nigger in there. He was just what Joe Biden said. He said, when I see Obama, I don't see a black man. I just see a man. I look at him as I would any other white man. And then when I first heard him say that, I said, say we got his Uncle Tom, man. And so I didn't vote for him. And then I was sorry I didn't vote for him. You know, even though I don't think we'd have been no too bad off with John McCain. John McCain, he wasn't no sorry man. But as I watched Joe Biden, see, there's certain things you can't fake. Now, if anybody could have sunk the presidency of Barack Obama, it was Joe Biden. I mean, he could have been out there and purposely bumbling something and whatnot, and I'm pretty sure somebody came up to him and tried to get him to do that. Make him look bad. But the vice president complimented that administration and proved that they was lying about him, talking about he's a loose cannon. A loose cannon means somebody who's out of control. Once you get him started on something, he can't control himself. He didn't look like he's out of control to me. When he got into that debate with what that old something that was running with Mitt Romney, Paul Ryan, he didn't look like he didn't know what he was doing with Paul Ryan. He dealt with Paul Ryan. Huh? So I think he'd make a good president. And white people ain't ready for no other black president right now. They wasn't ready for that one. So if you want to really heal this country, black people, you need to get out the way and let the white man have the White House, and let him, he already feels like some of you all living better than him. Some of them do. And I'm not trying to take his country from him. I want my own country. I don't want his. And I want him to keep his. Now, if you can't understand that, well, I'm sorry. I'm not jealous of white people. I admire the good that they have done. And I get on them about the stuff they did that's not good, that some of them want to keep on doing. And the minute he stopped, me and him good. Now, that is religion. And the Holy Quran said, fight with those that fight with you, and when they cease fighting with you, cease fighting with them. That is Islam. You understand that? All right. Now, you heard Norquist say what he wanted to do. You heard Devin Nunes, instead of talking like a congressman, they're talking like Donald Trump's yes man. Do he sound like he's part of a co-equal branch of government? We got to protect Donald Trump. I thought you had to protect the Constitution and the United States of America from all enemies, foreign and domestic. How come they ain't on Donald Trump about why he ain't did nothing about the meddling of Russia into the United States election? Why that ain't number one on his agenda? Okay, well, you act more like it's your country than it is that. I'm acting just like what Allah told me to be, a warner to you. Do you want a siren that when if a police got in hot pursuit, you want them to muffle the siren? That thing got to be loud, don't it? So it can warn you to move aside, right? That's all I'm doing. I'm just warning you, showing you what you got sitting up there in your Congress. He got on a suit and tie, and he looked like you, but he don't give a damn about your country. I told you, I've been to this rodeo before. I saw people who looked like me, who didn't give a damn about the Nation of Islam, and was secretly trying to destroy it. And I'm gonna fix them. Matter of fact, they being fixed. A lot of them done been fixed. But we still here. The messenger told you that it was going to go down to almost nothing, but it's going to be rebuilt, never to fall again. And he hit it to you who was going to build it. The scripture says we look for a city whose builder and maker is God. And the messenger said, ain't nobody coming behind me but God. I better tell you that. Well, that's who comes after the foundation is laid. The builder comes. The messenger told you he was here to lay the foundation for a new nation. This is the new nation of Islam that I am building. Yeah. Now listen to Devin.
Despite having no qualifications, on the board of a corrupt Ukrainian company, while his father was vice president charged with overseeing Ukrainian issues. After trying out several different accusations against President Trump, the Democrats have recently settled on bribery. According to widespread reports, they replaced their quid pro quo allegation because it wasn't polling well.
Now, you heard that, right? That's playing to the ignorant mind, to people who don't know that a quid pro quo is bribery, but it's a secret bribery. It's a secret deal. Bribery is open, and they don't call that quid pro quo, but it's still bribery. Quid pro quo is secret bribery, and bribery is just open bribery. Do you understand? Okay. So did they change anything? Didn't change a thing. But he sit up there and he don't mind lying to you. He used language. Let me show you about slavery. Now this is the William Lynch thing here. So give me a minute. Controlled language. Crossbreeding completed. Let me get here. You know, language is a particular institution. It leads to the heart of a people. The more a foreigner knows about the language of another country, the more he is able to move through all levels of that society. You know, like I'm moving through the levels that he's talking to you on. Huh? Then it says, well, you know, what's another name for a foreigner? A stranger? What the book say about strangers? Be kind to strangers because what? Well, Gabriel is standing here talking to you now. Gabriel means man of God. You know, God said, I'm going to create a man of sounding clay, of black blood, fashioned in the shape. That's me. It says, therefore, if a foreigner is an enemy of another country, To the extent that he knows the body of the language, to that extent is the country vulnerable to attack or invasion of a foreign culture. See how he's invading this culture? Because he knows your language. They went from quid pro quo to bribery. Quid pro quo is bribery, which is an impeachable offense. The president already admitted it. Mr. Sunderland testified that it was bribery. It was quid pro quo. They wanted the meeting for the, wanted the investigation for the meeting. If you want to meet in the White House, do the investigation on the Bidens. And even in the phone call, he said this, the Bidens and Hunter Biden, that was a terrible thing. It sounds really bad. He brought it up. That alone is an impeachable offense. In other words, he don't belong in that office if that's what he's in there doing. Now, you get this other Negro getting up there talking about even though he don't agree with what was done, I don't see it as an impeachable offense. You ain't got to see it. The Constitution sees it. But they don't teach the Constitution in the school system, do they? And it's your Constitution. You know what it means by saying it's your Constitution? It's your protection. And if you don't know your Constitution, that it is what protects your rights. It's also what protects you from criminals performing a coup d'etat on your government and getting you to help them. You understand? Okay. Now listen. Now look, any white people that hear me talking, if you take offense at me saying this, I can butt out of your business. All you have to do is just tell me to butt out. I promise you, I won't say nothing else about you or your country as far as getting in your business. You needn't think I'm running around here begging people who done enslaved me and messed over me to let me help them. I'm not finna beg you to let me help you do nothing. But Allah placed a duty on me to do this. And I see it. So I'm warning you. Devin Nunes and all of those who with him, they don't mean your country no good. And you need to get all of them out of there. Just like the Ukraine replaced 80% of their parliament, you need to replace 80% of those people in the House of Representatives and the Senate. Get them out of there. And then, not only get them out of there, find out what they've been doing besides what they did here. So, it says, for example, you take a slave. If you teach him all about your language, he will know all your secrets. You hear that? If you teach him about your language, he will know all your secrets. They didn't never, why do you think they'll never tell you what quid pro quo is? You just hear that as a quid pro quo. And many that say it, they didn't really have a real grasp on it themselves. But now it's time to grasp what's being said, because people are purposely trying to mislead you about what it means. As though bribery and quid pro quo mean something different.
Excuse me, son of man, is that like to do something that...
See, you ain't listening. I told y'all about that. I told you. I did not just explain what it meant. You gonna get enough or just sitting there not paying attention? Now I'm gonna tell you again. It means a secret or quieted, that's what the quid is. A quieted, a secret promise, quota, demand, a secret promise for something demanded. That's what quid pro quo is. Now, in other words, a secret bribe. Now listen to him.
But if the Democrats and the media are suddenly so deeply concerned about bribery, you would think they would take some interest in Burisma paying Hunter Biden $83,000 a month.
Did you hear that? How do you know Hunter Biden got paid $83,000 a month? Or does he know that? Listen.
And you think they would be interested in Joe Biden threatening to withhold U.S. loan guarantees unless the Ukrainians fired a prosecutor who was investigating Burisma? That would be a textbook example of bribery.
That man, Burisma, was corrupt. And the Obama administration was saying he got to go. We can't give you our money, pour our money into no corrupt government like this. But now they have been investigated and they've got rid of a lot of them crooks. You see, they replaced 80% of their parliament and got a new president. And the intelligence community told them, well, we can work with Ukraine now. Huh? Why he misrepresenting that? What did he say he needed to do for Trump? Protect him? Well, how do you protect somebody from the truth? If the truth is against him, what you got to do? You got to get out there and tell as many lies as you can, hoping that you can confound the truth, huh? That you can uproot the truth. Huh? He already said that we got to protect Trump. That's our job. Who gave him that job? The American people didn't. Who gave him the job to protect Trump? Good question, huh? Okay. Now remember, what did he say? Hunter Biden got paid what?
Paying Hunter Biden $83,000 a month.
All right. Let's see here, boy. That's a lot of money, man. I don't mind having that job. Let's see here.
And that they would be reviewing past cases. But keep in mind, this is a country where those that commit crime board in 2014.
And do you know what his strategy was in adding officials?
The board was the former president of Poland, Alexander. others, including some Americans, and the most prominent one in this context is Hunter Biden.
Okay, so Hunter Biden's added to the board of Burisma. Now, do you think that creates a problem that Burisma may be adding people to its board for protection purposes?
Sir, I work for the government. I don't work in the corporate sector, and so I believe that companies build their boards with a variety of reasons, not only to promote their business plans.
Now, remember now, that's Devin Nunes's, them Tea Party people, that's their attorney asking these questions, okay? Now, Devin Nunes is sitting there like you sitting here with me. Now listen now.
Was Hunter Biden a corporate governance expert?
I have no idea what Hunter Biden studied at university or what his CV says.
Like, is he the Jeffrey Sonnenfeld of the Ukraine?
I have no awareness or knowledge of what his background was and what he may have done on the border.
Okay, so you don't know whether he has any business experience in Ukraine prior to joining Burisma's board?
I've heard nothing about prior experience.
Okay, and do you know if he speaks Ukrainian?
I do not.
Do you know if he possesses any other element other than the fact that he is the son of, at the time, the sitting vice president?
I do not.
Okay. Ambassador Taylor, do you know whether Hunter Biden offers anything other than the fact that his dad's the former vice president?
I don't.
Or at the time was the vice president?
I have no knowledge of Hunter Biden.
Well, you would agree he raises questions, right?
Now, why did he just ask those questions? Do you know of any of Hunter Biden's qualifications? You notice he don't say that Hunter Biden didn't have no qualifications. He asked them, did they know of any? Why should they? All right, let's see. Just a moment. We'll come back to that. But I want to play something else here for you.
President Trump's escalating attacks on Joe Biden and his son Hunter. And so tonight here, the ABC News exclusive. Hunter Biden one-on-one with our Amy Robach. Hunter Biden insisting he did nothing wrong, that there has been no finding of any wrongdoing. But Amy pressed him, does he regret taking this work overseas, and asking him if his last name wasn't Biden, would he have been hired for those posts? And she begins tonight by asking about Hunter Biden and his father, the former vice president.
Did you and your father ever discuss Ukraine?
No. As I said, the only time was after a news account, and it wasn't a discussion in any way. There's no but to this. No, we never did.
Your dad said, I hope you know what you're doing.
I hope you know what you're doing.
I do.
And I said, I do. And that was literally the end of our discussion.
Hunter Biden reportedly made $50,000 a month to sit on the board of a Ukrainian gas company called Burisma. At the time, his father, former vice...
Now, you notice, they keep saying different amounts. Reportedly, he made $50,000 a month. Huh? Okay, just a moment.
President Joe Biden was the Obama administration's point person on Ukraine. What were your qualifications to be on the board of Burisma?
Well, I was vice chairman of the board of Amtrak for 5 years. I was the chairman of the board of the UN World Food Program.
You do know what Amtrak is, right? That's the railroad in America here. He was vice president of Amtrak. Yeah, just a moment. Let's get back to here. You know, so if he's sharing that with her, you suppose them people sitting up there asking them questions knew that? That lawyer, he knew that. That's why he asked, do you know of any qualifications here? Huh? All right, just listen.
Of Amtrak for 5 years. I was the chairman of for 5 years. I was the chairman of the program. I was a lawyer for Boies Schiller Flexner, one of the most prestigious in the world.
In the list that you gave me of the reasons why you're on that board, you did not list on of the vice president.
Yeah, no.
What role do you think that played?
I think that it is impossible for me to be on any of the boards that I just mentioned without saying that I'm the son of the vice president of the United States.
If your last name wasn't Biden, do you think you would have been asked?
Now, what are you saying? That if he go and get a job, he got to deny that his daddy is the vice president of the United States? Huh? Do that mean he getting something crooked? No. But just listen.
Be on the board of Burisma.
I don't know. Probably not. I don't think that there's a lot of things that would have happened.
You did not list the fact that you were the son of the vice president.
Yeah. No.
What role do you think that played?
I think that it is impossible for me to be on any of the boards that I just mentioned without saying that I'm the son of the vice president of the United States.
If your last name wasn't Biden, do you think you would have been asked to be on the board of Burisma?
I don't know. Probably not. I don't think that there's a lot of things that would have happened in my life that if my last name wasn't Biden.
Do you regret being on the board to begin with?
No, I don't regret being on the board. What I regret is not taking into account that there would be a Rudy Giuliani and a president of the United States that would be listening to this ridiculous conspiracy idea, which has again been completely debunked by everyone. And
I think people at home are thinking, how could that not have crossed your mind, or you wouldn't have felt just a little bit in your gut, like maybe this isn't a good idea to go and sit on the board of this Ukrainian company.
I said to you, in retrospect, I wish that my judgment.
You never thought this might not look right.
You know what? I'm a human. And you know what? Did I make a mistake? Well, maybe in the grand scheme of things, yeah. But did I make a mistake based upon some unethical lapse? Absolutely not.
And then we turn to China. Hunter Biden traveled there with his father in 2013. President Trump claims that on that trip, Hunter Biden cut a huge deal with a Chinese businessman. The president has repeatedly said that you received $1.5 billion from China despite no experience and for no apparent reason.
Hunter. He goes in, he has a meeting, he walks out in his fund with $1.5 billion with a B, $1.5 billion.
Obviously, fact checkers have said that that is not true.
Look, this is literally has no basis in fact in any way.
Have you received any money from that business dealing?
No.
At all? Not 1 cent?
Not 1 cent.
Definitely not $1.5 billion.
It's crazy. No one ever paid me $1.5 billion. And if they had, I would not be doing this interview right now.
There is no evidence either Joe or Hunter Biden did anything wrong in either China or Ukraine. But there are questions about whether it was appropriate for Hunter Biden to sit on the board of a foreign company while his father was vice president. What do you say to people who believe this is exactly why people hate Washington? A vice president's son can make money in countries where your father is doing official.
How in the world you live in a capitalist country? And now, this man ain't in the White House. This man got his own family and got to try to make a living. Now, he's supposed to not seek out jobs because he's the vice president's son. If he's qualified, why not put in the application for it? Huh? And if now where he would be wrong is if they let him have that job and he tried to get some sway, go back to his daddy and get some sway for them people. As long as he ain't trying to run interference for them with his daddy, he can work where he wants. And Joe Biden ain't the kind of fellow who would do that no way. His history ain't no history of taking graft. He wouldn't be poor if he'd been taking graft. So all you see Donald Trump stood up there and told that lie. Talking about the man got $1.2 billion. I mean, really? Lying. Which is what he do. So now ain't no telling what his family been getting. I didn't hear you. So, but anyway, now let's go back to that other.
and that they not only to promote their business plans.
Was Hunter Biden a corporate governance expert?
I have no idea what Hunter Biden studied at university or what his CV says.
Like, is he the Jeffrey Sonnenfeld of the Ukraine?
I have no awareness or knowledge of.
Now, you heard what Hunter Biden's credentials is, right? So you think he didn't know that? Watch, he ain't gonna say Hunter Biden wasn't qualified for nothing. He just throw that out there and let your imagination do the rest. Do you understand? The Holy Quran has a chapter on that. It says, say, this is in the last chapter. Do you know what a subliminal seduction means? It means like that elevator music that they used to play and they made it against the law for them to be putting suggestions in that music to make you go buy stuff and everything. It's suggestions that only your subconscious picks up while the conscious mind don't really catch it. You understand? Okay. That's why I'm explaining to you what this boy doing, since I'm the Lord of men. It says, say, I seek refuge. It says, in the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful. Say, I seek refuge in the Lord of men, the King of men, the God of men. Now, I tell you, I'm all of that. The scripture says, for the Son of Man is Lord, even of the Sabbath day. That's in the 12th chapter of Matthew and the 8th verse. In the 100th chapter of Psalms and the, well, let's go to Matthew again. Also in Matthew, the 25th chapter and the 33rd or 34th verse. I'll tell you in a minute. I won't cut to the chase. And we're going to start at the 32nd verse or the 31st verse. I'll tell you in a minute. This is chapter 25 of Matthew. And it's the 30. Just about it. The 31st verse. It says, when the Son of Man shall come in his glory, in his flesh. It says, and all the holy angels with him, who are absent from their body, but they're going to be present with him. It says, then shall he sit up on the brain of the man who, the flesh that was born to receive that knowledge. He shall sit up on the throne of his glory, and before him shall be gathered all nations on the World Wide Web right now. All nations gathered before me. And he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divided his sheep from the goats. And he shall set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on his left, on the left. Then shall the king say unto them on his right hand, I seek refuge in the King of men. The Son of Man is the King of men. That's what it says, ain't it? All right. Then you go to the 100th chapter of Psalms in the 3rd verse. It says, know ye that the Lord, he is God, the God of men. Then it says, from the evil of the whisperings of the slinking devil, like he was trying to whisper to your mind that Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, wasn't qualified for nothing. He didn't say it. He just was suggesting it. And you say, oh, he must not have been qualified for nothing. So why they give him the job? But when the lady asked him what was his qualifications, then you start finding out this young man was vice president for Amtrak. He was also one of the top executives in a law firm that's well known by them. Then if you think that lawyer don't know that, he's sitting up there asking them, do they know? And that wasn't even for them. That was for the audience. That was for the cameras. You understand? You were told to seek refuge in me from the whisperings of the slinking devil. You know, you've seen a slinky before, right? You see all them little parts go gradually creeping in, right? He gradually suggesting to your mind that Hunter Biden and Joe Biden done did something they had no business, when neither one of them did anything they didn't have no business. If they had did something that they didn't have no business, then he wouldn't be suggesting, he would be presenting evidence. Wouldn't he? Like evidence that's been presented that shows that Donald Trump is guilty of high crimes and misdemeanors. And it says, and from the evil of the whisperings of the slinking devil, who whispers, suggests, whispers into the hearts of men from among the jinn and the men. You saw that black one up there trying to suggest to you that you hadn't seen enough evidence for impeachment when the Constitution is clear. Bribery is an impeachable offense. Well, then how you going to say you didn't see no evidence? You liars. Now, listen to this now. Devin Nunes is sitting there now. Devin Nunes says that he got paid $83,000 a month, didn't he? Now listen.
Background was and what he may have done on the border.
Okay, so you don't know whether he has any business experience in Ukraine prior to joining Burisma's board?
I've heard nothing about prior experience.
Okay, do you know if he speaks Ukrainian?
I do not.
Do you know if he possesses any other element other than the fact that he is the son of, at the time, the sitting vice president?
I do not.
Okay. Ambassador Taylor, do you know?
Now, his argument just got knocked down by that interview that Hunter Biden gave and showed he was qualified. Right? Because if he had qualifications, then he would have said, well, he was qualified. Right? See, his own way of questioning now is moot. Meaning it's unimportant. It's no good because it has been, he has, the way he questioned, said that if Hunter Biden, he suggested if Hunter Biden had qualifications, then it would have been a different story, right? Well, he had qualifications. He had a resume. So what's the problem? Playing to the cameras, playing to the ignorant minds who want to support Donald Trump in the destruction of their own government. You know, when I was in barber school, when we got to the part, I know I told you this before. When we got to the part of public relations, the little instructor, he was Caucasian. They was all Caucasian. American Barber College, under a company name called Roffler, and the little, he may have been a Jew, but anyway, he said, you know, you have your Sierra together, and he said the S word, when you can tell somebody to go to hell and they enjoy packing for the trip. He's saying how to deal with the public. In other words, just because you're angry with a customer, remember, they are your customer. And even telling them off, you got to be careful not to turn them off. Huh? And so, but that's what learning language can do. Teach you how to tell somebody something that is not flattering, but that they don't get mad at you because they really didn't understand it. Do you understand? So if you must vent in language that they don't understand. See, now he's sitting up there playing his little game, suggesting to the ignorant onlookers that Hunter Biden wasn't qualified for that job. They gave it to him because your mind's supposed to go now. He wasn't qualified for that. And he there taking graphs and got nerve enough to be talking about Donald Trump. Huh? When he wasn't taking graphs, he was qualified for the job that he got. But to the ignorant mind, you just lapped that up like a hog lapping up slop, didn't you? So, listen. Watch this part here.
Hunter Biden offers anything other than the fact that his dad's the former vice president?
I don't.
Or at the time was the vice president?
I have no knowledge of Hunter Biden.
Well, you would agree he raises questions, right? He was getting paid, I think, $50,000 a month.
This is a professional ambassador, and he's there asking him to speculate about things that he have no knowledge of. And the ambassador is at his, as good as saying, what are you asking me this stuff? That's not in my job description. But since they don't have nothing else, they can't defend Donald Trump because all of the evidence has shown that he did what he's being accused of. Okay? Now, watch this.
To sit on the board. Do you know if he relocated to Ukraine?
I'm sorry, Mr. Kessler, say again?
Do you know if Hunter Biden relocated to Ukraine?
No knowledge.
Do you know, Mr. Kent?
Again, no knowledge.
Okay. So he's getting paid $50,000 a month, but we don't know.
Now, listen.
$50,000 a month, but we don't know whether he. Okay. So he's getting paid $50,000 a month, but we don't know whether he had any experience, he had any.
How come Devin Nunes didn't say, well, no, he's getting paid $83,000? How come Devin Nunes didn't correct that? Because they're sitting up there lying. We used to say to people like that, hey, man, won't y'all get your lies straight? One say 83,000, another say he got paid 50,000. Which one is it? Neither. I doubt if any of them know what his salary was. Nor what it was based on. If they do know, the mere fact that they ain't saying tells you there wasn't nothing wrong with it. Here you got a man sitting up in the White House right now that his income tax returns ain't been seen. Why not? And why ain't they interested in that? Because their job is to protect President Trump. I thought their job was to be representatives for the American people that voted for him. But Grover Norquist already said that if they sign the pledge, they get to govern. Didn't say nothing about the American people giving them, voting them in there, whatever. Grover Norquist now tells the dumb American people who vote for state controlled media. Just get out there and lie on you. You know, they made it, it used to be against the law for you to use propaganda. Just use the American Airways to purposely mislead the public. That used to be against the law. Ain't against the law no more. Who made it legal? Their chess pieces that was put in place in Congress that introduced. You remember when the man, one congressman went to jail, and he said he just signed, presented what they gave him, and he presented, them groups like Grover Norquist represent. They write out something for the congressman that they put in office to present as a bill, and they go up there and present it for them. You know, they make anybody a congressman. You know, it's give them a just like they used to tell people, you want to be Jesus? Well, if they don't mind making you be Jesus, they sure don't mind making you be a senator and making you be a congressman or woman. And so that's what they've been doing. Quietly taking over your government from within. So as Joe Biden said the other night, got to take the country back.
Let's give you something.
Yes.
Since the time you've been on the air, CNN has a new report out that says there's a man that's willing to testify to Congress that Devin Nunes has been over in the Ukraine trying to meet with people about Vice President Biden.
Yeah. I mean, this done already came out. Devin Nunes was on the take. Let you hear it. This is, what's his name? Let me find that. Y'all give me a minute here. The impeachment inquiry. Just give me a minute. Let's see. Wrong one. Let me try it another way. Here it is. Almost forgot all about that. I have to. Glad you brought that up. Let you hear something here. You know, when people go to projecting on you, you know, accusing you of what they really guilty of. That's called projection. See? I want you to see this. Just give me a minute. My computer running a little slow, but we got some time.
Coverage on C-SPAN 3, cspan.org. You can also listen with the free C-SPAN radio app.
Next Give me a minute. This thing don't want to buffer. It's all going to be open. It's like a 1 week.
It didn't matter that I didn't vote for him.
If they want to, I leave that up to them. But you can't.
Yes. And that's because there was speculation in all analytical
in him to help deliver the full measure of promise of their revolution of dignity. And I think he merits all of our respect.
Thank you. And Mr. Chairman, I ask unanimous consent to enter the May 27 photograph depicted on the screen into the record.
Without objection, Mr. Hurt. Thank you, Dr. Hill. Mr. Holmes, for your years of service to this country, and I appreciate y'all.
The inauguration of President Zelensky was then used as the basic material for that call.
They did not open a new investigation into the Bidens.
Correct. And Dr. Hill?
Correct.
And there was, in fact, a meeting between President.
But again, it was in passing and explained the circumstances in which this came up. But I was asked a question in the course of my deposition about it.
And the only person at the time who worked at the National Security Council was Kash Patel. Is that right?
It was the only person that I could think of.
And Kash Patel, prior to working for the National Security Council from 2017 to 2018, worked for Ranking Member Nunes. Is that right?
I actually only found that out after the fact.
And
I wondered why I was being asked about him, so I went and looked this up.
And Dr. Hill, you cautioned us on the dangers of members of this committee, perhaps peddling any Ukrainian conspiracy theories that could benefit Russia. And I want to ask you if you have heard the name Lev Parnas of Ukraine, someone in this investigation who was influencing President Trump and Rudy Giuliani about some of the debunked conspiracy theories you referenced earlier.
I have heard his name, yes.
Are you aware that Mr. Parnas was indicted on October 10 for making foreign contributions to Republicans in U.S. elections?
I am aware of those reports, yes.
Are you aware of yesterday's Daily Beast story reporting the indicted Ukrainian Lev Parnas has been working with Ranking Member Devin Nunes on Mr. Nunes's overseas investigations?
I am not aware of that.
Mr. Chairman, I ask unanimous consent to put into the record the Daily Beast story. Lev Parnas helped Rep. Devin Nunes's investigations from yesterday. First two paragraphs reading, Lev Parnas, an indicted associate of Rudy Giuliani, helped arrange meetings and calls in Europe for Rep. Devin Nunes in 2018. Parnas' lawyer, Ed McMahon, told the Daily Beast. Nunes aide Derek Harvey participated in the meetings, the lawyer said, which were arranged to help Nunes' investigative work. McMahon didn't specify what those investigations entailed.
Without objection.
Mr. Chairman, you have been falsely accused throughout these proceedings by the ranking member as being a quote-unquote fact witness. Now, if this story is correct, the ranking member may have actually been projecting. And in fact, he may be the fact witness if he is working with indicted individuals around our investigation. But I want to go to...
You notice Devin Nunes sitting there. He ain't objecting. He ain't saying that's not so or whatever. So what are you doing sitting up there, call himself being a part of this when he been in bed with them crooks? Just like he wanted Jeff Sessions to unrecuse himself and take charge of an investigation of Russia while he had some dealings with Russia himself. And Jeff Sessions knew better. Now, I had to give it to him. He might be a Southerner. I don't know if he hates black people or not. That's fine too. But he got more respect for the law and for his integrity than to let them talk him into doing something that was blatantly unlawful, like what he's doing sitting up there now. You know, look at his face. Does he look like he's shocked? Can't even look up. Because he's caught projecting his own guilt onto the Mr. Schiff sitting there next to him. He's been accusing Adam Schiff of being crooked. I'm telling you, you know, you white people, y'all better wake up. I used to think that everybody that had black skin was my brother. I know better now. Just because somebody look like you don't mean that they care about you. You better learn to recognize your brother by who. If you for right, you better learn to recognize that whoever is for right is your brother. Okay. Keep tripping. You're going to trip yourself right out of a country. Man, stand up there talking about he got to protect Donald Trump. I mean, that's look at that. Sitting up there, and Mr. What's his name? Let me see.
Distilling this down to the key facts, I wanted to ask both of you at the UN.
They did, but not.
That you have evidence that as recently as this year, President Trump believed.
See, Eric Swalwell got the goods on him. Send up that line on Hunter Biden. He got $83,000 a month. Then he hears somebody else say $50,000. He ain't said a word. Huh? Which one of them telling the truth? Neither one. Just tell a lie and let the people's mind do the rest.
One named Cash was the Ukraine director. Is that right?
Now notice, they keep talking about a man got a right to face his accusers, right? Well, his accuser is facing him right there. How come he ain't talking to him? And telling him, you lying on me. Why are you saying that? He can't say he's lying on him because it's the truth. This man was right along with Giuliani and all the rest of them crooks up there.
It's not really evidence. And look, I want to be very clear about this. I was asked a question about this in my deposition. I did not raise it. And to be honest, I was surprised that I was asked the question.
But you heard that name Cash. Is that right?
I did, but again, it was in passing, and I explained the circumstances in which this came up. But I was asked a question in the course of my deposition about it.
And the only person at the time who worked at the National Security Council was Kash Patel. Is that right?
It was the only person that I could think of.
And Kash Patel, prior to working for the National Security Council from 2017 to 2018, worked for Ranking Member Nunes. Is that right?
I actually only found that out after the fact.
And
I wondered why I was being asked about him, so I went and looked this up.
And Dr. Hill, you cautioned us on the dangers of members of this committee, perhaps peddling any Ukrainian conspiracy theories that could benefit Russia. And I want to ask you if you have heard the name Lev Parnas of Ukraine, someone in this investigation who was influencing President Trump and Rudy Giuliani about some of the debunked conspiracy theories you referenced earlier.
I have heard his name, yes.
Are you aware that Mr. Parnas was indicted on October 10 for making foreign contributions to Republicans in U.S. elections?
I am aware of those reports, yes.
Are you aware of yesterday's Daily Beast story reporting the indicted Ukrainian Lev Parnas has been working with the ranking member Devin Nunes on Mr. Nunes's overseas investigations?
I am not aware of that.
Why ain't Mr. Nunes objecting to that? Why ain't he saying that's a lie? That story is a lie. How come he ain't saying nothing? It's being said right in front of him. Anytime a man in the House of Representatives or in the Senate or in the Congress of the United States stands up and says to any crowd of people that our job is to protect the President of the United States, he needs to be immediately removed from that body. Because he is trying to consolidate the powers instead of recognizing the co-equal nature of this government. How in the world are you going to be a check on the president or the executive branch if you there kowtowing to him? You wasn't put there to kowtow. You was put there to make sure that the Constitution is upheld. Even by the one who took the oath to uphold it. What is the point of making people take an oath if you don't have no way of holding them to it? I didn't hear you.
Chairman, I asked unanimous consent to put into the record the Daily Beast story. Lev Parnas helped Rep. Devin Nunes's investigations from yesterday. First two paragraphs reading, Lev Parnas, an indicted associate of Rudy Giuliani, helped arrange meetings and calls in Europe for Rep. Devin Nunes in 2018. Parnas' lawyer, Ed McMahon, told the Daily Beast. Nunes aide Derek Harvey participated in the meetings, the lawyer said, which were arranged to help Nunes' investigative work. McMahon didn't specify what those investigations entailed.
Without objection.
Mr. Chairman, you have been falsely accused throughout these proceedings by the ranking member as being a quote-unquote fact witness. Now, if this story is correct, the ranking member may have actually been projecting. And in fact, he may be the fact witness if he is working with indicted individuals around our investigation.
Now, you hear him use that term, the ranking member, meaning Nunes, was projecting his guilt on to the chairman, accusing the chairman of being crooked, while in actuality, he's the crook. All right. So I did the best I could. Yeah, y'all do what you want with it. I noticed ain't no white people said that they want me to be quiet about this. So I'm gonna keep talking. Because I have met with many of them here in Mississippi that have shown me the greatest respect, the utmost of respect, and they have actually helped me. And I'm not going to let you do more for me than I'm willing to do for you. I'm just not going to do it. Now, you need to wake up and realize that you got to take a stand. If you don't take a stand, and I learned this from y'all, the reason wrongdoing people succeed is because right-doing people do nothing. You see it's dark out there? It's going to stay that way until the light comes. If the light don't come, if the sun don't rise, darkness going to be there. You know, let me tell you something. You'll notice all the ones who making all that noise is always the corrupt people, threatening people and all that kind of stuff. I told you, when they start threatening you, tell them you can't come after my behind. Stand up. Being scared of a bully ain't never stopped a bully from bullying nobody. But if you stand up to him, you may find out that what you thought was a tough guy ain't nothing but a punk. So be what you say you are. If you for right, then how do you prove you for right? You must stand against wrong. You got the wrong impression. You grew up in a world of sports where you sit up and you go watch. You watch two teams. Oh, I'm for the Cardinals. I'm for the Yankees. I'm for but you ain't for nothing. You just watch. The ones who for them is on the field playing. The ones who for that football team, them the ones down there blocking and tackling and doing some of everything. You sitting up there watching, you're going to get enough of watching the news and watching all of these crooks and stuff and talking about that ain't right. That just, you better get your behind up and do something. All right. And I don't mean go get no gun and go shoot nobody either. I mean, you better start getting on them phones and stuff and tell these crooks up there that you done voted into office, hey, man, what you doing up there? Ask him, what do you call yourself doing? Have a recall and get them out of there. That's what you do. I didn't send you up there to protect Trump. That's not the oath you took. Okay. Well, you know, anytime somebody tell me you got to protect the president, what do you mean you got to protect him? The president don't need no protection from you. All he have to do is obey the law and keep himself out of doing crooked things. So you mean protect him in his wrongdoing? That's what you really mean. Because if he ain't doing wrong, he don't need no protection. The Secret Service protects him. So what kind of protection you talking about doing to him? You mean protect and frame his mischief? He there doing illegal things and you want to help him get away with it. All right. Okay, you see they done took over your government. You better take it back before it's too late. All right. Don't you think it's strange ain't nobody saying nothing to me? What is, son?
Yeah, the question.
Yes.
Not on this topic, but Sun Solar 13 asks, are your followers permitted to be in interracial marriages?
No, I don't encourage my followers to get in no interracial marriages. You know, you need to learn first to love your own kind and those who look like you. We ain't never had no love for our own black women. And the same with the black women. And you run around here looking for a white man. They got all these black men walking around here, and you don't want them. You know, I'm not telling you if you already married to somebody, go and divorce them. I mean, I ain't telling you that. But I'm telling you, you should, if you want a mate, you ought to look for somebody who look like you. You know, I know that's what I'm gonna do. I sure ain't going out here looking for no white women. And that ain't because I hate white women. Because I got sense enough to realize that God made a woman that looked like me, so he must have made it for me. Made her for me. Do you understand? So, what else? Okay. You know, so every one of us should learn to love our own. And I think you will discover that by loving your own, you will keep everybody here. You keep on mixing in with everybody, soon there ain't gonna be no white people. And you know, it ain't gonna never be no end to black people, but you can sure mess around there and erase white people. Let the white man have his woman. And let the white woman have her man. You know? And brown people, you know, the Japanese people, let them have their people. And the Chinese, the yellow man, let him have his woman. And let me have my black woman. You know, I'm not trying to lose myself in other people. Okay. Any more questions? You find a problem with that? Tell me what's wrong with what I just said. You know, and besides, white people the white man most of them don't want you with their woman. So if you want to make peace with him, leave his daughter alone. Man can't bring you to his house without you there hitting on his daughter. No. Your woman is beautiful. All of them women came out of your woman. So she 3 times a lady. That's the truth. You know? Well, I think the black woman is beautiful. And that don't mean I think other women are ugly. I don't think none of them ugly. You know? But that don't mean I got to go try to marry him. Okay. So may Allah bless us. It's 11 o'clock. So I'm going to let you go. May Allah bless us and keep us safe and in our right minds. And I really do hope you Caucasian people get it together and get the crooks out your government. May Allah's Assalamu alaikum.
Session is no longer being recorded.